Okay, I will start to record our session. You can see there is a sign of recording right now. And
Yes, good evening, everybody. Good morning from London.
I'm in New York.
Oh, yeah, sorry, New York. Good morning from New York. I keep saying London. I don't know why. I love London so much.
I think you want me to be in London for some reason,
Yeah,
which
yeah,
I don't
yeah.
mind. I don't
I
mind.
keep saying London. I keep saying London. I keep saying London. Alama. Okay,
Why?
okay. My followers will be laughing.
Yeah.
Great. So let you maybe you can introduce yourself to our followers, especially mine who just see you for the first time.
Of course, sure. My name is Anastasia. I live in New York, even though Michelle wants to think it's London. But I live in New York, and I used to work and live in Singapore for 5 years. I was working for the large bank in Singapore, and then I moved to States to start a company over here, which is called Athena. It's an online educational platform for women about finances. We empower women with financial knowledge and help them to navigate through most important stages of their lives with our advices, courses, and constant support. Um, that's a little bit about me. What about you? Tell me a little bit about your um, story and
So
what drives you.
mm, okay, my journey is a bit different. I've been in the financial insurance industry in Singapore for the past 10 years of my life. So the journey to this industry was not an easy one because I started out even before I graduated from university. So the reason why I joined the industry because I lost my dad at a really young age, and I saw how proper financial planning can help uh, family or sandwich generations who are in the sandwich generation to do well and not fall into pitfalls like my family did, with my mom having to play the role of a father and a mother at the same time, and me having to take multiple jobs to pay for my student fees. So for me, I have grown my business to many clients. Okay, I help many women to achieve financial freedom. I coach them. I give them advice on how they should manage their money. So for me, I have already set up a podcast, okay, called Smart Woman Finance, where I share tips and ideas on investing, and also in future get women on board for interviews.
Amazing, amazing story. And you know, so I was working in Singapore for 5 years only, but overall also was in finances for 15 years. And also I ended up there accidentally, actually. And thank God I ended up there because this is so important to be to know what's going on the market and how to manage money properly. And I happened to end up, building the company for women just for the same reason as you, because I've seen how many um, girls of my age or younger age have no idea how to properly spend money, save
Yep,
money, and
yep,
invest. Like the topic of investments is the scariest, one. Overall, for us women to talk about money is kind of taboo, right? Like we talk
yep.
about everything when we meet each other for coffee or for lunch or for dinner, anything in the world, from like the best shopping tips to like the latest rumors in your in
Yes,
your work,
yes.
right? Or like
Oh my,
about your boyfriends or husbands. But to talk about money is always kind of taboo, and we don't start the conversations about that, unfortunately. But then I started to see more and more women, like come and seek for different advices related to anything: career, relationships, future, ambitions. But all of them are related to money, and all of them are very important to address in the young age and to tackle it properly.
yep.
Completely agree with you.
Yeah, so maybe you can tell what our audience are looking forward to. They was like, what is Snowflake? Is it the one that we in winter?
Yeah, I wanted to talk a little bit about investments overall today. And you know how many people today are trying to teach about investments, and all of them basically teaching very obvious things like what is bond, what is stock. It is important. That's a basics. Like when you learn some language, you need to know the grammar, how to build the sentence, right? So in our case, anything about bonds or stocks, like the theory is the grammar, but you need to put the meat on it. So basically, economy is developing. Markets are growing or falling. There is something going on all the time. And I think it's very important to bring into the context what is happening on the market today so that people understand why they do it. They understand it's not in theory what happens on the market, but it's happening right now. The big thing on the markets last couple of weeks was the IPO. We're educating our girls in the course what is IPO, how to participate in IPO, how to become first-time investors. So IPO, it's initial public offering, when the company from private turns into the public, and actually everybody who didn't have an access before to the company right now can become investors and can join this company for their journey if they like the company mission and so on.
Correct. Yep.
Big thing on the market last 2 weeks was the IPO of the Snowflake. This is the largest IPO of 2020. This year overall was very, very difficult for the markets, and the volatility was high, right? We've seen like this crazy rally, the market going down in March, going all the way back up until September. And since September 7th, market lost again almost 10%, right?
Yep.
So interesting moment overall for investors, but maybe a little bit scary for those who are the first-time investors. What I'm trying to say over here is, things anyway gonna happen. Snowflake happened, and this is the largest IPO of 2020, and they are the reasons why. It is important to follow what's happening with the new technologies, and Snowflake represent basically the company which links new technologies in form of the cloud-based storage of information, data, warehouse. This is the company based in California. It's an American company. Well, basically, so what they do, they allow large companies, we call them blue chip companies, to store, analyze, and share information or data about their customers.
Yep.
You might think, there are so many companies who are doing that. Well, the success of their company usually depends on few factors. The big thing with Snowflake is that one of their large investors is Warren Buffett, one of the most successful investor on the market, right? With his company, Berkshire Hathaway, he invested in the company, I think it's around $700 million he put into that. And whenever such a big investor stands behind, like such a corporation, it is very important. It gives a really strong signal to the market and to investors that, like these guys checked out all the background and know their revenue model, they know the strategy. So they hugely believe in the future of this company. That's number one. Number two, it's their relationships, and it's their contracts with other companies. So basically, one of the big contracts they've got, they're going to be, like store and analyze data for Oracle, which is a huge company for the American markets. And the thing is, like, usually when such a big partners come into play, another big partners come into play, and having Warren Buffett behind this, like gives a really, really strong future to the company like this. That's in a nutshell. You don't have to understand, like all of that. There are some triggers which tells you that, the company is interesting or not, but you have to know what's going on. So Snowflake, watch them out. They've chosen really good time on the market to do the IPO, because for the companies going public, it's very important to be on the market when there is positive sentiment, meaning the market is growing. So they did the IPO. And basically, since they did the IPO, their stock was growing, but then the market started to correct. And it is expected, actually, the market will be correcting in September. It's usually a very volatile month overall. So let's see what's going to be happening with the Snowflake in the short term. But short term doesn't mean that much, because overall, if the company has a good strategy, you believe in their mission, you believe in what they're doing has the future, the short term volatility is not that important, but long term perspective is very, very important.
Yeah. So yeah, correct. So they make history. For those who do not know, Snowflake made history in the stock market because it was the largest software company to IPO in the United States. So it actually went from about $75 to $85, but it went all the way up to 300 USD per share. So I always say no point chasing after stocks, because you end up at the highest point and you have to wait. You know, the last time I saw before we start this live is that the pre-markets for Snowflake was at $234. So honestly, I feel that Snowflake is a very great business model. It has a very great business model and it has incredible growth. So it is a cloud data platform that helps clients to consolidate data to get their business insights and also create shareable information. So this means that their platforms will actually benefit, people who are using this platform will benefit from this network effect. Okay, when I talk about network effect, you should be thinking about Facebook and LinkedIn. So with this, they have increasing number of clients, about 3,000 something, I think, clients, and increasing revenue since they started.
And yeah, I think you're talking about 3,000 corporate clients, right?
Yeah,
like it's a big difference when you're like targeting retails and when you're talking about huge corporate clients.
Right.
Imagine
3,000 is very little corporate. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. That's yeah.
Yeah, so to me, I mean, somebody asked me, Michelle, should we get this Snowflake? Is it a good time to buy? So for me, I don't like to chase after hot stocks. That's me, all right? There are a lot of good companies out there. And if you really want to consider, okay, let me tell you what is important. Valuation matters. Okay, what does it mean? Price, all right? So if you see that with the pre-market pricing at $234, the price to sales ratio is $159. And you were to compare it to Shopify or Zoom, they are only 53 and 84 respectively. Okay, so at a price to sales ratio of 159 is really high. Okay, so if you really want to buy, okay, just note that, okay, this will be very speculative. Okay, do it with very small percentage of your portfolio, or otherwise, please stay away no matter how exciting it is, right? What do you think?
I feel like, you know, like the people who are coming to our courses, I think they don't like me towards the end of the course because I keep repeating in every session, diversification, diversification, diversification. And like, no matter how many times I repeat this, the first time investor anyway get too excited from their first successful profits and they burn their fingers all the time because, as we know, Michelle, markets always very volatile and they often change the direction, and whenever you expect them the least, they of course correct or they lose, right? So yes, diversification. To invest, we have the golden rule in private banking or in investments overall. We never recommend to invest more than 10% of all your portfolio into one stock. That is the golden rule, which is basically advised by MAS in Singapore, the same in Switzerland where I used to work, the same in London. But for single stock, I believe even that sometimes is a lot, you know, 10%. If I would be looking at my own portfolios, with especially with newcomers on the market, they are hot trends for sure. They're great companies for sure. The press is going to be covering them for sure. But just the same happened with Facebook. And if you remember, the trajectory of the Facebook was the same. They did the IPO at the like high level. They dropped immediately after the IPO, and for a few months they were low. Right now, of course, you know, like it's much better than it was at the public initial public offering. But I mean, you know, like you don't want to be discouraged in the beginning, and yeah, so.
Yep. So, what do you think is next for Snowflake? Excuse me. What do you think it is for Snowflake after the IPO?
Again, it's hard to say, like you cannot predict the market. I believe that the model is a great, I'm sure they have a great lineup. There's definitely a growth. I would invest my own money into Snowflake. But if you do invest, keep in mind that short-term volatility might show negative results, especially because market right now is declining, especially there are elections in the US coming. Historically, markets fall down after elections. We don't know what will happen this year because like maybe markets would be so happy if Donald Trump will lose the elections. We don't know, right? It's like so hard to predict.
Nobody can predict.
Exactly. I'm just talking about the historical performance and how they usually behave. Markets usually fell down after US elections. Keep that in mind. If you see some negative, if you will end up investing in Snowflake and you will see some negative results, stay there for a bit because, like markets tend to return and the model is great. And yeah, I mean, and the people like Warren Buffett do not invest for no reason, almost $1 billion in the company. So I have strong belief in the company.
Yep. So I just want to ask you, Anastasia, for you, maybe can give us some advice. How do we overcome for women to overcome this fear of investing? Maybe you can share with us.
Yeah. Well, first of all, I think it's very important to understand why you as a woman or as a man should invest. The thing is like men know why. They are like somehow in this context since like very young age. Most of us, we know how to earn money, we know how to save money, but when it comes to investing, like first of all, it's scary for us. Second, we don't know why we do this. The reason why everybody has to invest is because there is inflation. Whatever you do, you cannot cancel inflation. In your country, in Singapore, is one inflation. In my country, I'm originally from Russia, is a different inflation. In US is the third number of inflation, right? But there's inflation everywhere. And to save your money, if you can just pile up amounts of your money, it'll just like get together over there, but it doesn't grow and it does not, like keep its buying power because of inflation. To maintain its buying power for in the next 10 years, 20 years, you need to invest this money and to have returns higher than inflation in your country. Number one. Number two, there is such a thing called compound interest. It's basically calculated percents of money which builds up your wealth. So the earlier you start to invest, the better the quicker your money will be multiplied. So that's very, very important. How to overcome the fear of investments to start investing. Like there is no other like advice I can give. There are so many materials available these days. There are online courses. There are people who teach about investments on Instagram, on YouTube. It's very important to find professionals, of course, because I see a lot of people who are not doing this professionally. But before you engage with somebody, figure out what they did before, like what's their background. Did they read the same book, or watch the same YouTube course and now they teach you, or they have some experience and they've been on the market to tell you what to expect, basically. That's number one. Number two, practice, practice, practice. Start with small amounts. Get 100, open brokerage account, get your first $100, buy your first stock. You will learn from this transaction more than you will learn, like in a couple of hours of different videos. You understand what is the price, you understand who is the broker, you understand what is the commission for the brokerage, just like that, like in 10 minutes from most probably some incorrectly done transactions. But again, it's a tiny amount of money which you start to invest with. And it's okay to make mistakes in the beginning. So practice, practice, practice. What about you? What would be your advice?
Sounds like swimming, right? You need to swallow some water. Right? You need to struggle, drown a bit.
Just a bit.
You can't learn how to swim by watching the TV or reading a book, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So to me, to overcome this fear of investing, I always tell my clients and my friends, first thing, always set goals. Okay? Think of always begin with an end in mind. Think of what do you want at the end of this investment journey. Okay, rather than focusing on the losses, think of what you could have gained out of it. May not be monetary, but experience, right? And also think of the big why. Like, why do you even want to get started to invest? Because you know that inflation rate, Anastasia, you say that it's very high, right? And you will have to make your money work for you. Otherwise, you will have to continuing making money, okay, which is not what we want to do. And smart people make money so that they can invest more and make the money work for them, right? So just to share a personal experience on investing. So for me, Anastasia, I'm not sure about you. How old were you when you started your first investment?
So I was quite young because I was 23. 23.
Wow, 23. And what did you get?
I got the most horrible thing you could get at that time. So I got the mutual fund.
Nice.
I got a mutual fund for BRIC. So BRIC, it's an abbreviation for the emerging markets in that time: Brazil, Russia, India, China.
Wow.
And it was in 2007 when everything was, like, growing. God, I just gave up my age. Anyway, so like it was in 2007 when things were amazing. Russian market was booming. We had, like the Russian stock market was rallying. It gave you about 100% a year of return. And you didn't want to invest into bonds. Everybody wanted to have Russian stocks. And I was like, okay, I'll make the diversification. I will invest into BRIC stocks. So 4 countries, all the stocks. And I invested. And what happened next is the recession. My entire fund went down 70%. And I had to stay. And thank God it rebounded quite quickly. But the emotions from that, stays forever. And whenever your fund fell down so deep, you have to be very strong, to know what to do next and to stick to your previous decision. So that was my first investment. What about you?
Oh, amazing. For me, I'm not sure whether should I say I'm blessed, because I bought my first stock in 2018. That was quite late already. I was only that was how many years ago? 2 years ago. That means I was 29 years old then. But I did my very first investment when I was 20 years old. I bought into commodities, okay, meaning silver and gold, right? So in the past, I used to do part-time sales. I see all the elderlies coming to me, they're getting their laptops, and they told me, I need to get the fastest laptop. I was like, hey, why do you need a fast laptop for? They say, oh, it's for trading. I say, what is trading? They say, oh, you can make a lot of money from trading, like commodities. I trade gold and silver. So they told me to go and open an account with the bank, which I did. So for those Singaporeans, I went to UOB. Even till today, they still have this account. Mm-hmm. They have this silver and gold account. And you can actually buy and hold, or you can even trade. Yeah, there is no trading fee, apparently. So in year 2008, I opened my first silver account, okay, and I bought physical gold. Physical gold was about $56 SGD, Sing dollars.
Yeah.
So that was about 40 something dollar USD per ounce.
Right? God!
So I still hold it till now. So it proves that gold is a good investment versus silver. Because in year 2009, silver went into headlines. I bought silver at, I think it was about 13 Sing dollar, about $9 or $10 USD. It went all the way up to 60 Sing dollar, which is about 50 plus USD, right? It was historical. So when I got that news, I was like, wow, it's like buying winning stocks when you see your stocks getting on the news and you were like, oh yes, I done it, right?
I think you felt like another Warren Buffett from Singapore. You were like, there are 2 best investors in the world, Warren Buffett and me, right?
Yeah, so I felt like I was on the top of the world. I was so confident, right? Then I went to buy more, right? I bought more. Can you imagine, Anastasia, at $60 Sing? I bought some at 59, 58. I went to average down. okay, all the way to I think about $40 Sing, and I gave up, and I realized that it was going nowhere because it crashed. It crashed to $19, and today it's been 11 years. It just recently went up to $27 Sing. Right, and that is 11. So I cut losses. I lost about, I think about, maybe after I gained maybe about 5 grand, right? For a 20-year-old, it was a big sum of money.
Yeah.
Then I told myself, okay, I'm never going to touch silver, right? So in year 2018, because of my financial experiences, yeah, I went for courses, I went to study, and I got into I got interested into this thing called Internet of Things.
Yeah,
right? And it's
I love
right?
it. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I bought into Intel. I bought into a company, a local company in Singapore that does business, that deal with semiconducting industry. When our mobile phone, our cameras, they all need this, right? Even security nowadays, they require internet to do it, right?
Even Instagram requires internet.
Yes, correct. So I bought into the company, and it was quick money, Anastasia. It was like, very quick. I think in less than 1 month, I made 15 grand. Yeah, so I didn't diversify, right? So that was my first pot of gold. Okay, then I got confident. I start to buy in other companies without proper research. Eventually, my 15 grand became only 15,000 worth of profits only became about 3,000. So can you imagine? I lost the remaining amount of money, 12,000, right? These are what? School fees. So from then on, over the years, I've learned that it's really important, like what you say, not to put more than 10% of your portfolio into a particular stock. Yeah. By buying into stocks, we are actually becoming our own fund managers. Okay, we decide what we want to do. We will look at which sectors. So some people, I realize that they are too over concentrated into one sector, which is tech. And then they forget about other consumer goods, or even hospitality or healthcare. They forget all about other sectors or even other geographical areas, right? Which is why index funds may be better for some people.
Absolutely. I so agree with you, Michelle. It's so important that you are bringing up this topic. Like we have this one of the homework assignments I give to my ladies who are joining the course. I'm saying, girls, pick up your favorite stocks and let's build your portfolio. Even though people pick up stocks of the different companies, right? It could be Google, Amazon, and Apple, for example, and Facebook. They are still all in the tech, right? And if we think back, remember 2001, the largest thing which shook the entire market was the tech bubble, when all the companies in the United States went down and like the entire market was depressed. Like only one sector dragged the entire market down. So this is why I'm always saying that diversification has to be not only by companies but by company, industry, or sector, how we call it, and the country. Right? So it has to be like very diversified portfolio. If you like technology companies, perfect. But buy ETF. You were bringing this up right now, that there are index funds, there are funds where you can basically find focused funds on different themes. And technology is one of these themes. And I absolutely agree with you. Instead of picking up, just 3 companies and making your own little fund, you can buy the entire ETF and to get exposure to this industry through that fund. Plus, usually you are aware about the big companies like Facebook, Apple, and Amazon, but you are not aware about smaller ones, like who are also very important, and their profits sometimes are better and their stocks growing are bigger, but they are usually included in that index funds, and you don't have to do your additional research on them. They're all included by professional managers into one ETF. Thank you for bringing this up.
Yep, welcome. It's very important that people know, and I'm so glad that you are teaching to the girls in your courses.
Yeah. Okay. What's next on our agenda? We discussed the Snowflake, we discussed the fear of investments. We shared
what are the podcasts that you use, or books or magazines or even documentaries that you use to gather your investment knowledge and ideas?
Okay, so listen, I have professional how it's called, like professional um, attachment to that, right? So like for me it's interesting to read about this. For me it's interesting to pick up like Wall Street Journal every day and to see what's there on the headlines, right? Because it's like when I look at the front pages, it gives me a quick glance like what to expect during the upcoming week or today, what's happening in the world today, and that's usually all covered in the front page. So what I suggest for most of the people to do to get into the market. I do understand that it's not so interesting for everyone to go through the details, numbers, and like to follow this every day. But to pick up, like the newspaper or a magazine or some financial news from time to time, it is super important. Like there is no way you can afford today to not be familiar with what's going on in the world. That's number one. So what I do, I every day open financial news, I read newspapers, I have different, because I do researches on my phone, I have some news coming up all the time based on what my interests are, right? That's number one. Number two, I'm actually listening to this, one of my favorite podcasts. It's called After Hours. It is done by 3 professors of Harvard University. They are talking usually about the big trends on their market, the big trends in the economy overall. And it's not only about finances, it's about everything. It's about different, like movements which are happening. They're talking about the movies, industries, and they are very funny, very relaxed, and they are, tackling important financial topics through the understandable prism. They explain very, very difficult things in a very easy manner. So I'm listening to them on Spotify. What else I do? I'm talking to people, and this is another thing, like which I'm afraid women don't do too much. Again, we're talking about everything when we meet each other, right? But we don't talk about finances. But we started like me and my
talk on stock market in a woman group.
Yeah, but it's like it's cool to say, hey, you know what? Like I'm here today in this store, actually spending the coupons from my bonds, or like spending the dividends from the Tiffany. It's a completely different feeling when you invest into, for example, Louis Vuitton by going to the Louis Vuitton store and buying the bag. Bag does not appreciate in value. Bag lose its value the moment you from the store. But if you invest into Louis Vuitton LVMH stocks, first of all, it gets its value and it pays you dividends from women who go to the stores and buy. So this is the difference, of consuming versus investing, I would say.
Yeah. So I'm slightly different from you, Anastasia, is that I use my observation skills every day. I observe what people do and what people use, okay, and I would think that, hey, wow, there's a demand for this. So I'm very curious what goes behind this to provide this service to these people, because we are giving them money. So I'll look into companies that are behind the scenes, whether indirectly or directly or inversely related. Then I'll go and research and understand more. Okay, I also read up on various investment platforms. I read on Bloomberg. I like Seeking Alpha a lot. I also like Molly Fools. Yeah,
I like them too. I read them as well.
Yeah, so usually around this time, I will always listen to their Zoom live. Okay, whenever I have time, which is really good. Okay, but at the time, when we get into discussion like this, sometimes it might be really tempting to just buy whatever people says, okay, and jump into it without doing our own research. So I learned how to make my own judgment, okay, and not be swayed by the news that I hear or see from people who is there to manipulate the market. right?
That's another, I'm sorry for interrupting you again, but that's another super important topic which you are bringing up.
Yeah, we should take it down.
I know, like there are so many things like we need to discuss, and I feel it's not the last maybe conversation we should have, but there are so many things which you're absolutely correct about. There's so much pressure sometimes comes from social, from the media, social media, or like any kind of TV hosts, which are trying to get you on their side. But it's very important to understand that media sometimes are doing this for some reasons. You
Yes,
need
and
to understand what's happening and how you observe things. It's important, it's amazing, and I'm doing this similarly. People like ask me, Anastasia, when is the next correction? When is the next like, market falling down? Why is the market like rallying? I'm like, I don't know. Like I'm walking here on the Fifth Avenue, and the closest and the stores are closed. Like every second store is closed. I don't know why economy is booming. Probably because there is something is happening behind the scenes. You know, is the economy feels well? Of course not. People lose their jobs every day. They don't get the paychecks anymore. They stop spending. There is like obviously something coming up. So how can you, you know, like believe what's happening on the stock market or what they promise you on the on TV, right? So no, observation is a very, very, very important part of critical thinking.
yeah. And I also think that Anastasia is good at what you do because I think it's important for people to attend courses or to learn from a professional when it comes to investing because these are the people who have been there, done that. So instead of having to go through the trouble of losing money, that making the same mistake that other people make, when actually you can just pay some money and get someone who has the experience to guide you through, so that you do not have to walk the extra miles and time, and emotionally you also spend time going through unnecessary losses or wrong financial decision. So engaging a money coach, an advisor is very important. It's also very important to choose the right brokerage companies because a lot of times I see people they get lesser profits because of the money lost to the
All the
fees.
fees, all the fees. Yeah.
Yeah, so if you get a professional to help you, whether it is a coach or advisors, they can tell you immediately what are the differences and what are the things to look out for, especially if you are a beginner.
Yeah. Which is why I want to announce that we are giving a free webinar on October 1st. So we
Wow.
decided to, I want people to understand that there is no portfolio which fits everybody. It just doesn't exist this way, you know. You cannot just replicate the portfolio of your grandfather or of your father. You guys are at different stages of your lives. You have different goals, you have different horizons, and probably different, having different investment goals. That's what you started from, right? You need to have
Correct.
investment goals. So probably you and your father have different investment goals because he wants to retire, you want to travel around the world, or you want to go to get some education. Time horizons different, um, uh, lifespans are different, and so on. So portfolios have to be built according to the age as well. Age matters. That's what I keep saying all the time. In portfolio construction, age matters. And so we are giving the free webinar on October 1st. People can follow my link on my Instagram page and to register for free. We're going to be talking about the asset class allocation according to the age and what to expect from the portfolio in the different ages.
Wow. Okay,
Well,
I'm going to sign up for sure. Looking forward to it, definitely. So personally, I'm also having a collaboration with United Women Singapore. This 3rd of October, Saturday, 2 to 3 p.m. This is their first women's empowered women series, where I will share about the best kept secrets about investing. So for people who are beginners or already halfway through investing and still lost, okay, this is the webinar to come for. And all the proceeds from this webinar will go to United Women Singapore. It's for a good cause. Yeah.
perfect. That's amazing. Well, overall, I can see that, you know, like around the world, this wave of curiosity towards financial planning from women is raising, and it's amazing to see. And I don't think we understand how big of the progress we are creating with our own hands today. In fact, I was yesterday in Yale University. Probably you've heard about Yale. It's one of the most famous law schools in the world. It's Ivy League.
Yeah.
And you know what's interesting? I was thinking of them like a progressive place, because I was always thinking like, state is the place where, like, progress take place, empowerment, feminism is all here. Well, in fact, Yale started to accept women into their programs 175 years later than men. And that happened accidentally. So after that accident, another 40 or 50 years passed until they officially invited women to get educated. And I was thinking yesterday on the way back, I was like, well, since we are given this chance to get educated today, let's use it. Let's use it and to empower each other, to figure out how to manage everything from careers to personal finances, from educating ourselves on little skills about something, to building successful companies which would be leading in the future and given different dimensions. We are given the opportunity today to build the future with our own hands through education as well. Let's use it.
Yeah, agree. Yeah, so
okay,
amazing.
awesome. Michelle, first of all, I'm super happy to get to know you, better, to stay linked to Singapore. My heart belongs to that place. I annoy Americans over here saying that I don't know how they think they have the best country in the world after I used to live in Singapore, which is like so organized, so clean, so efficient, so safe, and I keep complaining here all the time. I'm like, no, in Singapore it was different. Like, forget about the Singapore,
welcome you back. We welcome you back. If you can open a branch in Singapore, I can manage it for you.
Definitely. Listen, we want this company to be global. We want to start from the place where it's a good environment for the startups overall. So that's why we started here. But my idea, of course, to grow this company into the big scale. So I'm super happy to stay in touch and to see how we can keep pushing this.
Wow, I'm looking forward. I'm so happy that we collaborated on this. I hope that in future we get to have more of this because I can see that most of our followers will enjoy this segment a lot. Trust me, knowing them.
Happy to hear it. Perfect. Michelle, thank you so much. All the best. Good night to you, and send love to Singapore.
Thank you.
Bye.
Good night. Okay, bye-bye.